that we see a new map.
Okay, well, let's have a look at our map for this matchup, though. We will have one map, because it is a best of one, and we do actually end up on that Nighthaven Labs. First time we'll actually see Nighthaven Labs in Europe League. I'm very excited, but you said it will probably fit those teams as well.
It will definitely fit those teams, and actually it's really smart by Heroic because they had to do something different, right? You cannot go in against BDS and play the default maps, especially when you bring in your analyst as a sub or a new player, whatever you want to call it. You just can't go onto a clubhouse, which is one of BDS's best maps, and just expect, oh yeah, we're going to totally win this.
Yeah, I think they were kind of forced into that ban. I think, you know, Heroic, there's a few maps they don't like. Cafe, Sky, Bank were definitely the ones that I was expecting them to get rid of. BDS getting rid of Clubhouse is a bit of a surprise for me. And BDS haven't necessarily been known to take well to new maps, you know, over the years. BDS was always the team that, you know, struggled when Theme Park and Skyscraper came in. We didn't know if they would like Nighthaven or Consulate. They're clearly ready to go for it, so I'm quite excited to see them play it. And we've actually seen it played across, Brazil now, North America, and once in South Korea as well. Being played out differently, as you would expect, across the regions, but I think it's a very intriguing map, and it flows really well.
It's going to be interesting as well, because now Heroic going in on attack side, I wonder how they're going to do, because this is where the in-game leader matters the absolute most. If we see a really rough start where they go 0-3 down, I think a lot of things will start to crumble, because you've kind of done a knee-jerk reaction, right? If you replace your in-game leader after 2 maps, and it's basically in the best group that you're in, it's so hard to see what things will go right. But I think that if they struggle to begin with, they're in for a really rough ride for the last remaining best of ones.
It's going to be really tough indeed on that second half. And last time, or last stage at least, it was Heroic taking a victory over BDS on Clubhouse. But now with those recent changes on Heroic, I wouldn't want to call it shaky, maybe that's a bit mean, but they've had some recent changes that are really influential. Do you feel like they can replicate that result?
I feel like it's an uphill battle. You know, you're taking drastic measures because you want to try and salvage your season. I guess that's why they've done it, right? They feel that the 2 losses were unacceptable to them, and they're taking drastic measures, and they need that front 3 to perform. It's as simple as that. The front 3 for Heroic haven't really performed. Like we said, we've seen Astro be last alive. He's had the most 1vx's attempts out of anybody in that team. We've seen Doom and Blaz not really hit the heights that we know that they're capable of in terms of these big multi-kill rounds. So what you want to come out from seeing today, for Heroic's point of view, is a win first and foremost. They've made these changes to try and get a win. But even if they get that win, you want to see those front 3 firing. You want to see that improvement that they say they believe they're going to get from an Arctic stepping in as IGL now.
And I mean, if they don't, it kind of shows that they were pushing their blame on someone else. Or maybe they know something we don't, because obviously we don't know all of the internal stuff in every team. But there has to be a big reason to change other player, especially because leader isn't even a bad shot if they would remove him as an in-game leader. They could have just put that on somebody else in the team, but maybe they didn't feel like they had that someone else to step up to take those big shoes on. I mean, very difficult to know.
They did lose someone very vocal in that was before, who at least was their in-game leader before. For BDS as well, you know, they'll have to eventually get on their attack as well, attacking on a new map. Do you feel like, despite the nature of Oregon being defender favorite, there was something else that was wrong with their attacks last week?
There wasn't much that was wrong, but I think that with Nighthaven Labs, it's going to be very interesting, because a lot of these defenders, when you haven't played the map as much as you would like to, you don't actually know all of these angles that can be opened up through walls, or if you see there are small things that can go, okay, they shot that window open and now they see through my rotation hole. I've never been killed that way before, so you don't actually fear the unknown, so you would make a lot of mistakes. Going in and attacking on this map, I don't think it's going to be that difficult for them, because I think it's a much more open map, and it's completely different playstyle than Oregon first of all. So it's going to be fine to see. I think they will do good. We know that BDS knows how to attack. I think last play there was a hiccup.
Hiccup, do you think they'll be able to come back then?
I think so. I think I'm willing to give them the benefit of the doubt. You know, they were going up against G2. Ultimately, both of these teams have been up against G2 and lost against G2. And I'm going to give BDS the benefit of the doubt. Their loss against G2, just one game. We haven't seen them since. We still think they're going to be one of the top teams in Europe, despite the fact, you know, it's a new map. It's maybe a little bit of an unpredictable opponent as well. So we talk about the map bans be good for Heroic. Maybe for BDS, it's quite good as well for them to go to a new map, because they won't necessarily know what to expect from Heroic. They will just be focusing on playing their game. And just to touch on that point that you made about angles on the new map and everything, Fabian, I was very fortunate to observe some tier 3 scrims when the new maps got announced. And there were some angles that I saw that, even though I'd been playing the map for a little bit in ranked, I'd never thought about seeing. So there is an angle from the outside hatch, outside of meeting, that you can book open. You can then book open the freezer soft wall and see all the way to the top of the storage stairs. And I'd have just never thought about it.
Small things.
There we go. I hope somebody gets a kill from it today.
It's what you can see on those new maps, right? When you have all these players running around with box shotguns and sledgehammers and stuff, just exploring that new map. Is there anything else very specific that you're expecting to see from Nighthaven today?
I think we might be able to see all 4 bomb sites played as well, because that seems to be a trend on this map. It just seems to be that everything is kind of viable to be played, and there's different solutions to all the different attacks, because the attack you do on Kitchen is completely different in terms of just underall basic understanding of the theory. So we're going to see a lot of different sort of attacks, fast, slow, picking apart, and vertical. We're going to see it all.
So excited to see Nighthaven for the very first time in Europe League. We do have the same casters as last week, so we do still have Fluke and Hab with you for the first time of Nighthaven in Europe League.
Thank you very much, Anne. And yes, let's go take a trip to Carly's house and see what surprises are there for us. I'm Fluke. Hab is...
It's not just Carly's house. There's a lot more operators.
Yeah, no,
that
but
live
Carly
here.
owns the house.
Who is the cook now?
Their name's on the mortgage. Well, she probably doesn't have a mortgage, actually. Their name's on the deed. You know? You think Ossa pays rent? You think Ace pays rent? No.
Ace definitely pays rent.
Ace, well, okay, they probably make Ace pay rent. But the others, you know, the rest of... the rest of the gang, the Nighthaven gang, get to live there for free. I want to know on the law, if any of the writers are here, does Carly make Ace pay rent? Yes, we are here on Nighthaven Labs. If you're unfamiliar with it, it is the new, obviously, with the recent map, but we had both Nighthaven and the new version of Consulate added.
Yeah, so a bit of a refreshment coming into the map pool here. And I'm glad to see it's instantly being picked up, because I remember seasons where it took like 3, 4, like up to play day 7 or 8 before the new map finally got played. So we already get the Consulate last play day. We're getting Nighthaven Labs now, so everything is in rotation now.
That is 2 for 2, sort of heroic as well. Obviously, they were our Consulate team versus G2 last time. They got 1 round away on the new map, and I surprisingly agree with the desk that I think this is a smart decision by Heroic. They've pulled in an Arctic as a sort of, you know, I guess from our perspective, last minute. The announcement was about 40 minutes, 50 minutes ago. But the more thought went into it, you assume so. But still, you're against BDS. You're against a machine that loves to win and, most importantly, needs a win. They are one of only 2 teams of all of the EUL teams that have 0 points right now.
Important to mention, though, is that they've only played 1 game. It was against G2, who's currently like on the top of the group. So still plenty of time for them. 4 games for them to play.
Still a less fun fact.
Still less fun, yes. But they do need points. You're definitely true in that one. And so does Heroic, being there with 1 point right next to BDS. We're starting off in the basement.
The basement
is going to be 4 casual sticks.
Via Nano into assembly. Your eyes are currently driven towards Tank and Animus on one side, and Exo stairs to the east. That wall there that you see, that double wall, that leads outside. So they've set themselves up with a little bit of extra support here. You can see there's a double wall there. There's a single wall slightly further over onto the left. Now, Kaid was banned, but you're thinking, hey, why aren't they trying to bandit it? Well, because you're probably going to see them get control above, and that's what Brede is going to do here. They've got the open hatch. It is very easy to put some pressure down onto the players, especially as you look to the right. That room is entirely soft above the double wall. There's a lot of danger, and that means that BDS, they have to stretch the hold up, and it starts here on the top floor as Heroic start to try and knock their way in the opposite end.
You already see Selmas going off near the warehouse as well, so truly an attack on all different kind of areas in the map coming through here as Blaz. It's looking to lean into a fight. It's actually June that finds the very first into Renshiro, and they're already in the building. Looking to clear out that top floor, making sure they have that under control, as LM's leaning in for the kill there, but missing it twice. Now, having to fall back through the hatch, most likely to the first floor.
I mean, look at this. Heroic. June's able to get one more. They just hit the top floor, running, screamed their way across from the opposite side, and BDS just haven't really had a reaction. Obviously, took in on the meeting side. They're still trying to get some clear. You can see, you know, EFAC's holding just at the bottom of the Aqua stairs, waiting for somebody to try and make a route back down. BDS on top of the hatch as well. The fight's about to swing around the corner, and he wins it out. Importantly, they're at least able to buy one body, and on that call, they pull themselves back. As I said, the danger of the soft on the top 2 floors means that they steadily will lose some of the comfort of the space, and you can even see there from Astro, he's a bit curious whether they're going to try and fight their way back up some stairs.
Now, due to the fact that the attack was coming in from every single angle, as soon as you manage to flush one out, as that Nitro doesn't quite hit Doom, they were ready, especially Doom was ready to just cut off those rotations, pick up those kills. That leaves them in that 1-man advantage right now. As the breaches start going off, there is 2 more heart breach gadgets they can use to open up a hatch like that. I believe they've already opened up to warehouse as well. I'm not quite sure if they actually opened up from the basement directly, but given that the way and the places that these players are currently located, I don't think they would even eye up through the outside breaches right now.
I mean, you look at all those breach marks. EFAC's trying to watch up from one, and Doom's trying to look down onto the other one. And as I said, and I've highlighted a couple times, that is such a big danger. Now, the drop through here, just in the garage hatch, they're eyeing up that single sort of back wall there on towards Animus, maybe to try and sneak some control here onto Tank. The left sort of western side of this map is what they're trying to get a little bit of a stranglehold on and just force the players out of that roam. There's the drop. Astro gets himself tucked around into the back with some safety on the back end as an Arkic goes for the tuck into the close corner, going for the plant just on the side of Animus. Bride wins the first fight. They pull off the plant at the second and take the fights on the door, but now it's just Doom in a 1 versus 1 with a triple kill. 13 seconds trying to find the final player. He's got a good idea of where they've gone, but they've gone. That's the important part right now. He needs to get down, win an engagement. He's got the pistol, he's got the kit. He runs almost straight past the man. He can't find him, holds the plant. But it's just a pop round the corner. How you doing? Not very well.
Way too close there in the end. BDS able to fight back just in time, drop that diffuser, and a very, very scruffy fight going on. Like, people running back into the site, not having a clue about heroic members already being in there, and Doom over the top providing support, but just missing out on the opportunity to find the last player on BDS. And thus, they managed to take that round on that very first defense. But it started off so well for Heroic. Just the speed at which they cleared the first 2 top floors was very scary to watch.
Exactly. I mean, I think that's the sort of main crux of it there, is BDS did very well to get that round on the back of it, and it's the double-edged sword of it being an unknown entity, of it being an unknown map. For all the pace that Heroic had at the start to sort of go in and we know they're here, we can cut off this, we can get in the fights, we win the first 2. As soon as it came time to actually push onto the defenses that were set up around where they needed to plant and where they put the kit down, they stalled for a while. They still trying to piece out, okay, you know, do we want to gun 6 this barricade, or maybe we should hit this keeper with a grenade? And that time of weighing things up on the actual strategy side took about a minute out of their time, and when the difference is only about 5 seconds at the end, you can see how costly it is.
Now, I saw some of the keeper barriers being set up around the warehouse mezzanines, and I'd like to compare it a little bit to Garage in Clubhouse. However, there's going to be a door on the same level as you, which makes Lem's position just a little bit more dangerous where he's playing out here, because it can be taken down from multiple different angles rather than just from the breach itself. He still has a good opportunity to waste a lot of time here, and especially as Anarchic already opens up the breach near the Garage side of things, it kind of locks him in a little bit.
They're seeing if they can try and get the wall opened up towards the meeting halls and the connector side, put some pressure onto the back end of the site, maybe draw some attention away from the player. If you're going to use the Clubhouse analogy, it's like putting pressure onto sort of construction, onto logistics on the back end. You're getting them away from Garage and sort of going, well, actually, we're playing around here. We're going for this take, and there's the first. An Arkic, last minute sort of step in, has had his head ripped off by Shaiko through the soft. There's a steady rotation around Astro. He doesn't want to entirely throw himself into the region of this fight. The Shaiko has the ability to try and impact trick against these ace charges. There's the swing that comes around the corner potentially, but it's underneath. EFAC gets Blaz after he picked up the pieces of Astro. There's Shaiko pushing back in, and BDS have just cut them up in the connector.
Some vertical angles that we spoke about, just even if you walk through the breach, you could have been seen all the way from that one angle. Now, Heroic on the try and see if they can salvage it. A grenade pops in, but they're not able to do any damage with it. They're actually being hunted as well. Shaiko's roaming over the top, looking down these verticals, but he's aware of the fact there's still someone up there. Second grenade will pop, and that's going to make him look again through these holes that just have been made. Doom, as he gives away his position, is Liquefact going for that hunt. Shaiko does get taken down, but it's only up to Kayak now in a 1v4 situation with a minute left on the clock. Diffuser not in hand. It's a lot of work to do for one man.
For all the talk I sort of said of Heroic saying, you know, we're putting the pressure over here, trying to draw them out, it seems like what they were drawn into was a perfectly set trap. The vertical control was there. Shaiko sort of gleefully stepped away, saying, oh no, come get me, come get me.
God.
They got him. Efac underneath just absolutely tore through them. And again, this is that idea of it's a new map. These holds, these ideas, these little tricky moments. It's the sort of situation where if we go to that side again, you will see Heroic drone down there and try and get some presence down there. It's not going to be easy. They know who they are up against. It's Solus, but still, they've got to have a reaction to it.
Defenders, protect your bombs from being defused.
They do. As you saw what happened because, okay, first bomb site we played was the basement. They take the first two top floors, which is something you do usually. You clear out the homers and then you can fully focus on the basement site. That went well. Then they're up on the top floor, and basically the only reason to take that first floor is if you're going for any form of verticality. If you are going to use grenades, if you're trying to find someone who's playing with a C4 down below, and they kind of didn't really do that. They walked into the site without having cleared out that first floor, and does the verticality hurt them? Now they're going to be going towards the first floor after this rehouse is done, which means that we have the basement to worry about, but we also have that top floor to worry about. And you mentioned it before, Emmy, something about a lot of planks that can be destroyed. A lot of verticality, a lot of
verticality. I think that's the fun thing about Nighthaven, and that's one of those things where I want to see it get developed. Now, the map is obviously, we've had it for a little bit of time. There's been a chance for it to grow. It's gone through, I think, every conversation that people have about a new map is that it's got these things that are horribly overpowered. It's got these things that are a little bit rubbish. It's got these things that are amazing. Every conversation about any aspect added to this game have those things. But the verticality and the way it sort of plays a little bit of pit and parcel is one of those things that I really enjoy, because for the example of the sort of basement site, you have the coverage and protection of one site, whereas there's the damage and destruction that can be forced to the other. It reminds me, again, I know we've cited it a couple of times, of Clubhouse, of the basement where you can put all that pressure onto kitchen and the corridor, but there's the church and there's the back of the A case that you have to worry about. I love when you have that sort of mix and match idea.
I do like it as well, and it just gives you so many opportunities to play this defensively, but also to play this offensively. And it will take a while before we fully see which kind of strategy is going to be the most effective. Usually when a map firstly gets introduced, one thing works really well, but later people find out counters about it, and then it really doesn't happen anymore. I think a good example of that is if we go back to Chalet, we use the staircase from the garage, Snowmo garage. Like, when it just came out, and it was a bar gaming site, that wall to pantry always got opened up on the attack. It doesn't matter what it always got opened up. And you always managed to find kills from it. And then people just stopped playing there. They played it differently, and now they stopped opening it up. Now it's a bit of a surprise when it opens up. So
a Maverick line across the bottom.
Yeah, I mean, people
so
just
many
rotate,
people.
Yes, exactly. Especially if the attack does it, then takes pantry and takes them back down as the rotate comes around from Snowmo. So that's kind of what we'll be going through in Nighthaven, and I'm sure Consulate as well to some extent, where the stuff that we see working now very well, think of these vertical angles, for example, we just saw in that previous round, they might not be as powerful in just a couple months, a couple weeks, because these teams will learn how to adapt and how to play against it, put more resources towards stopping that from happening. So that's always the exciting thing when new maps hit the board.
We're all back in, if you haven't noticed, and I'm curious to see if Kayak sticks the blitz and how they're gonna sort of clank their way in. I guess it is a blunt instrument. A shield always will be. They don't. I didn't finish my point, though. A shield is a good blunt instrument on a new map because it allows you to safely sort of navigate and explore. The Monty is gone. You don't have the bluntest of all the instruments. You have to try and take firefights, which BDS are kind of banking on a little bit here because, as they said on the desk, one of the things that Heroic has struggled with is the firefight game. That's why they've made the swap, is to sort of allow the late calls to come from a more direct source of an Arctic and let the gun game start to hopefully pop off from those that can. And, well, if that's something that gets shut down here, the more and more BDS can put the pressure onto that, the more and more Heroic might get into their own heads of, well, maybe this change hasn't worked.
It's definitely something they don't need now. They need to have instant results given how short these seasons are. First grenade comes around. BDS waiting to play in contact here and is going to reinforce right after the Kiba pops up because it's a little bit of cover, making sure there's no direct follow-up to come in from that hallway. Now they've opened up the breach and you know, he just feels a little bit safer out there as they're trying to hold on to that top floor. Again, I mentioned it's going to be very important because verticality is going to be key. It's going to be able to be used for so many things, just dislocating players on the actual defense itself. And thus they need to try and waste even more utility to get rid of these players and the utility on the top floor.
Well, here comes the time and the break, and obviously with Kaid gone, you know where those charges are going to be, so the impact EMPs can be very direct and get you the results that you want. They've bought a lot of time here. We have all 10 players still standing, and this is as long as we've got it. But as I say that, EFAC suffers, I'm assuming, from Doom on the long angle. All the way out there, waiting for the player to just sort of eke past their way IT, and well, now they're trying to break their way in. And Arctic, though, they're the next to suffer, and he's looking at the floor first because he just doesn't know. Well, he may as well have been looking anywhere with the C4. BDS gets Kayak off just after he gets one, but there's a second to make up for his lost teammate. Suddenly, the 4 versus 2 is upon us, and Astro is upon the top of a hatch, waiting for somebody to move as Doom is turning himself a little bit further forward. The drop, the crouch, the awkward position he's in means, you know, that could have happened from any of 3 ways, and it leaves Doom alone.
C4 popping just too late as the diffuser is getting recovered by Doom, but again, 50 seconds, and all he really has is this top floor under control and these vertical angles to work with. Deals a lot of damage to BDS, but doesn't quite get the kill as they now return fire upon him. And just waiting patiently, here's Shaiko just using that sound to try and figure out where he's going, which entry he might be taking. He's firing right above him. He's just rethinking his position right there. Doesn't want to be the next one to potentially find some shots through the floorboards.
Well, there's pings on a player, but he's got 20 seconds, and he's got 4 players to get through at this point. He at least has the kit, but, you know, you're still, once again, going down to the site because, once again, BDS, they've played the vertical fantastically. They've really had a watch on all of the motions, all of the sort of actions that are coming through. The C4 play, when the drop came round, they reacted from multiple different angles. Even with a Valkyrie gone and having the sneakiness of that bit of intel, it seems like BDS have a great grasp on where their opponents are coming from and how quickly they're coming from those positions as well. The reactions are almost that little bit of sort of fear that's coming out. You don't know where they are, but they seem to know where you are, and they're going to shoot you through the soft.
Besides from the very first round, it feels like as soon as Heroic enters the building properly, it's just 3 of them dying.
Yeah.
Like, they set foot and 3 of them die. And yes, they gain some control, and yes, they do finally have that top floor, but you then find yourself in a 5v2 situation or a 4v2 situation. It's not really looking too good for them. So what's going wrong in Heroic's site, you might ask? And that might just be like maybe being too negligent towards those players that are playing the vertical angles. Again, we mentioned it before. They are very powerful here. Fresh mentioned on the desk, there's angles that you didn't even know existed that can be called into existence here. Give that opportunity to Shaiko. He's definitely going to be taking that oil leak effect. Those two really do love a naughty angle here or there, especially with their reaction skills. So you really need to deal with that directly. Also, the ram is being brought as we back towards the basement site. I guess that is to just open it up a bit more safely, not having to worry about someone instantly firing back at you as you use a sledgehammer.
So, those Selmas might get activated a little bit longer. I love the jammer there on the top floor to just slow things out. And I was kind of curious if we would see the ram in the top left. I almost expected it to happen on the BDS. Swingerlams has obviously played ram once previously, and on this site, you can get some good sort of motion going in the ocean if the ocean is made out of wooden floorboards.
It isn't.
Oh,
Sorry to break it to you. Yeah.
Oh. Oh.
It's made of H2O.
Oh,
A bit of
that's what that is.
NaCl in there.
Wow, okay, you've lost me. I only know water. Doom seems to not quite have lost Brede, who sat tucked in at the bottom of Aqua Stairs, just on the swing, as Astro slowly creeps his way down to lobby. They want to see if they can try and get the pinch on this player from the back end. And with Kayak curious as well, Brede is just able to slink onto one side. They actually find Aoife before they get to where I thought that fight would happen. Around the swing of Warehouse, I believe that was. So Brede's just got out of there. It seems like BDS have not only picked up that, well, we lost 2 people on the early smash, they've also picked up that Heroic are approaching much slower. It's that time game that I talked about before, where Heroic had to spend a lot of time weighing up the site. Well, they haven't been able to do that. And Alems is sneakily, I believe, is still around Aqua.
Yes.
There he is. Just at the top of CC stairs.
Not taking top floor.
Nope.
They're just going for the first floor. Blaz is still out on the second. Might be actually droning Lems out right now.
No.
He misdrone him. If no, he knows.
Okay,
He knows.
they know.
He knows. All right. Good on them, because that means they're still allowed and able to take him down. Because if they fail to do so, we're going to be finding BDS with a great flanking position as he gets a wall bang through by Blaz. Great shot.
They had to do it, but also think of the 20 seconds that we've just seen from that one last drone check. Now they're in the same position pretty much they were in before. There she goes. That is the ability of the gadget of our new operator. Both of them impacted off there, but you have 3 and a shotgun. You can destroy a lot of soft floor. She's called Ram, and she is terrifying. It's a very noisy gadget as well, so it's great to cover audio, but enough about her. Let's see with the 20 seconds. You've got that on the clock. What can you do with it? Candelas might be the first swing, but it's actually Shaiko. Drops it down. They pop open the Azami barricade there, and now they've just lost a little bit more time. They're tucked round onto the back, and Shaiko gets a second from the hatch as the Candelas are coming down. Renchiro picks up one. It is just Kayak left. They at least get that kill, but with 3 seconds, they can't even hit the floor before it's all over, and that was a bit tragic.
How can they have gone so wrong so quickly? Yes, there was only 40 seconds left for them to execute, and they really only had a hatch and a staircase to work with there. But it's just painful to see it go down like that. Yes, great shots coming down from Shaiko, finding 2. I believe it was June being found through the wall as well. As he was hiding himself near one of those staircases, just hoping to spot someone a little bit stepping out of his line out there, but failing to do so. And now it's 4-0 for BDS. Again, they were down 2 people. They managed to bring it back. And then I start to wonder, like, every little bit of focus that Heroic had was put towards that first floor. A little bit towards the second as soon as they found out it was still a player out there. But think of the breaches. They didn't even open up on the walls, the exterior walls for the first floor in Assembly and Animus. If you open that up, I mean, you don't need to use it, right? That's kind of the base thing. You open that up, it's pressure. It could be someone down there. It's like Oregon. When you go to blue, you open up the doorway and then you run away. It's opened up. They'll be way more careful rotating past that. But you don't have to actually play there. You could put pressure from a different area. But instead, they left it closed. They didn't bother taking it out. And that means they can just freely play around the site, only having to worry about anything vertical.
It's also the sort of mechanism of the timing there, and obviously the hatch is what we see. There's not much sort of time, there's not much sort of energy, but you have the Candelas cooked and ready to go. They're communicating about getting rid of that Azami barricade. In the swing of the Azami barricade, okay, the Keeper barricade, you got one, right? You get the pop over the top of the hatch. But then to get the second before the Candelas have loosed, because they looked to try and find the angle, because you could see they knew where the player had gone. They were tucked into the corner. They could have played that. You know, if they're down there, it's very easy to get them blinded. They lose a second to that fight, and then as they drop through, losing a third. I mean, it's a bitter pill, and it's obviously a team that's sort of, you know, trying to piece its rhythm together with a swap at this stage, and it's moments like that where you realize it. But here, a quick breach, a quick break towards IT. They want to get this fight there, and they almost get it instantly.
Again, it's going to be the player around there on the mezzanines. It's going to be a Selma used on the Kiba barrier. It's going to be an expensive PC utility, of course. Luckily, they do have 2 heart breaches here, so there is some left to spare. There's a shield on the board as well from Kayak, so wondering where that is going to be used from. But remember all these vertical angles we had before. We still see players around on that first floor, and as Liquefact takes down Doom, it's not the best of starts for Heroic.
Well, there's at least a response. Kayak stuck on the other side of a keeper, but they're able to at least get the kill on the back of the cover. Shaiko, he's going to step up and in and see if he can try and offer something back in, and there's the spray just going over the top, but he doesn't realize it's a blitz, so they're pretty happy to have that rebuffed against them. The impact slightly less so. As I said, you might see some attention paid towards EFAC at this point round because of the vertical play they did before, and almost the opposite, actually. Very cleverly, they've gone, no, we'll pull away. We're not going to run the same route. Instead, we're going to expect the players underneath and pull ourselves to a slightly safer location. The Fenrir gadget is just going to stop all of the progress until it gets grenaded out. The attention swings round, and it gets caught just repelling, and EFAC's able to escape.
Oh, not even a run out. That must have been through the verticality as he was rappelling up out there. There's literally nothing you can do at that point. It's just either go up or go down. But as soon as Liquefact managed to lock in onto him, there's no escaping that. Shaiko takes down Astro as well. Kayak needs to run in with that shield blast on the opposite side, looking to cover. But look at that. Liquefact is going to be fully aware of the fact where Kayak is. And as soon as he steps on any soft flooring, he's going to be receiving an impact to his feet and instantly die in the back of that.
And remember, you've obviously got a Legion on the board as well. There might be goo mines right in front of that blitz. They've been buffed. They'll deal that little bit extra damage, and they're awkward. They have to force you to pull back and change your play out. Blaz is trying to get the cover. It's the EFAC round the back that gets the drop on them, though. And I mean, BDS, they're smiling, they're happy. As Fabian said, he expects them to win, and we're starting to see that full strength shine.
Well played there in the end by BDS. The flank from Liquefact on point as well. The other 2 players over the horizontal angle, taking that fight, allowing EFAC to rotate back up and basically strike them in the back without them even realizing. Of course, you're Solus as well. If there was any drones, we would have been able to take him out beforehand. So basically knew he was going to be in the clear out there as you saw right before the kill cam, being on that scanner still. So making sure there was absolutely no intel on him. And BDS about to be putting a flawless half on the board. As, of course, new maps usually do favor the defense heavily. So it is not lost yet for Heroic. But then you, of course, go back to the change they made, leader out, Anarchic in. Because they wanted that extra bit of IGLing. And Fabian said it is going to be so important on the attack that is actually working out well. Because that's when everything needs to be correct. That's when everything needs to work out. It just hasn't worked out for Heroic. They haven't even been, like, except for the first round, been able to get into the bomb site with the diffuser. That's it. Yeah, once it dropped after they got killed from the hatch, but they didn't bring it themselves. They're alive.
It was a gamble. Going to an unknown entity, you sort of throw things to the wall and say, well, we hope they haven't practiced this as much and we can try and exploit a couple of bits. But it's also a gamble going onto a new site as the attacker, which is, you know, obviously being proven here. However, BDS's performance has been strong. It's not even a question of it really being close outside of one round. Again, they've got the read on those 2 players, sneaking their way in underneath. They seem to just have that premonition of, let's keep an eye on, you know, this sort of route through. The garage wall has had some smash brought across it. They're putting some direct focus here, Heroic. Instead of getting lost in the sort of reeds around them, push up. They can't get us from underneath if we're under them.
You're not wrong with that one. Unless they do retake that at some point. Now, there is going to be 3 staircases and 2 kills come through. EFAC and Alems both take out one of them, and that leaves only 3 left for Heroic to try and salvage this round. Bless just tosses a grenade over to make sure there's no pressure coming in, but as that blows up and he's unable to instantly find a kill on the other end of it, has to rotate back out and find a different way through. Now, BDS, with a 2-minute advantage out here, still bunch of utility on the board side, basically untouched. They're not going to be too worried about this round. All they need to do is just keep their communications up, make sure that the players downstairs are unable to rotate back up, whilst also keeping an eye out on the players horizontally, which Liquefact might not actually do fully, because I'm not really sure if he's aware of Anarchic's position out there.
On the back foot with a full strength BDS, they've at least been able to get themselves some sort of control, I say, of inverted commas, of garage, with the attention played on a couple of different entrance routes, but with BDS still fully stretched across the map itself. Where do you put the pressure on from here? The entrance, it's only a small sort of box, and the coverage on the top floor doesn't really get you the full bite of the angles that you need to swing yourself into. So instead, they hop down onto the back of the control hall, sprayed through, but it's Blaz getting a Lems and then getting quickly picked back up. They wanted to see if they can try and do some damage in cargo, so an Arcic's going to step into the sort of range there as Astro's watching and just misses the motion on the fight. And Arcic wins his fight out, and they're sort of acting as an unknown entity, but Bride from the top ropes, I believe, sprays down onto Astro, and an Arcic in the meantime gets another inside the site. But with Shaiko still close by with 20 seconds, he's going to try and get the coverage on the plant and hope Astro can win the fight. He cannot. It's just an Arcic. Waits for the Shaiko swing, the fight. An Arcic cannot quite get the full bite, cannot get the end of it either. And it is a flawless half for BDS.
They went for a push there, Heroic in the end. They realized they needed to do something. It almost worked out as Anarchic was trying to get that plan down, but teammate falls. Shaiko's on the opposite side of your wall. He's gonna be playing with you there, and he did exactly that. Opens up in the fight. Knows you're no longer planting, falls back instantly, finds himself with a separate angle. But now it's BDS onto the attack and Heroic onto the defense. New map, again, heavily favored towards the defense. 06 house or 60 house are not unlikely to be seen, as we just had the first. So maybe Heroic is going to be able to bring this back around, bring this to a 6-6. As BDS has prepared their attacks to the utmost precision as well, where they are able to just prevent being seen by any of these verticalities out there and just straight up get towards the site without any trouble.
Heroic, do or die, unfortunately, here at this situation. The flawless half, sort of locked in here from a BDS that is beyond bounced back, I think, from a shaky first day against, you know, top of their game, G2. But it's always a risk against G2. Remember how that game started and how close it got at the end.
And they definitely brought it back in there. Felt like BDS being the second half team in that one, but just not able to lock it in. Had a well ahead. All they need is one out of these next 6. It all starts with an opening kill. If one of the Heroic players steps a little bit out of line, you lose one of your big gunners or a bit of a big utility. You're going to be struggling for the remainder of that round of BDS. Attack like we know they can attack, as we've seen in previous matches, previous tournaments, just any of the games of this iteration of BDS.
How will BDS approach? I mean, we're instantly seeing, obviously, slight differences. You've got the Sophia, you've got the Nook back end, trying to get the Covenants. I mean, just look, EFAC on the cross-section, crouched off in the distance, waiting to play against the camera game that from the side of BDS was pretty exceptional. Highlighted quite a couple of times here. They're waiting patiently, Heroic, to have things battered against them. They're not quite going for the full exploration and throwing things to the wind, sort of letting BDS cook slowly, hoping the weight of the map and it being new plays into their hand in the side of time. Doom is about to find the first here against the Lems, but he doesn't. Swung round, the Lems wins out. And that fight in Vending might be the start of a spell of a disaster.
Small vertical open up. Anarchic is trying to elevate himself to find a better angle to take that fight, but look at the damage that was done to him by Liquefact just firing through. Grenade being tossed in. Won't find him as he fell back just in time. And Bride is about to be removing another anchor off these heart walls, these reinforced walls. Blast on the other side of it. Could be going for a run out here as we're in a 4-on-4 situation. A minute left on the clock, BDS. All they need to do is find a way into the side and not be flanked.
Well, with Blaz tucked in that corner, Breeder and Shiro seems like they might have been on the game of, well, where's he gone? Obviously, with the single kill coming through, they have a keen awareness. He is so close to this soft, though. If they get a whiff, they'll get a kill, but it doesn't seem like they entirely know. He's playing such a dangerous game. Alems is about to come up round on the back end, too. See if he can get to the top of lounge stairs. There's one onto Alems just before the drone gets to him. He sees the drone and he somehow slips by. There is a Maverick hole, though, so he's not going to go all the way through. He's wasting so much time for just that angle. And Shiro is holding. There's another one for Blaz. There's one more! And when Heroic needed a spark, Blaz has come a little bit ablaze. Can he end this with the ace? I pointed out EFAC at the very beginning of this round on the opposite side of the map. Here he's had to pick up and go all the way to the other side. Stuck in the Fenrir. And Heroic get around.
One man saves them there on the back of a drone that didn't really fully check it out. I'm not going to say it was a missed drone, but, you know, just drive 2 more meters, check the left, and he would have actually seen the player hiding in the corner out there. And things could have changed drastically. But it's only 1 round out of 6. BDS will not be too worried. Heroic is going to be very happy with that round, but they also know cannot really rely on Blast just popping off like that every single round. And now we're headed towards the basement sites. And I'm wondering if BDS is going to try something here, because what we've seen from Heroic when they attacked, as we go for the replay of Blast's kills, we saw them go for 1st and 2nd floor. Great quad kill, by the way. But we also saw that BDS was only having 1 person on the site for the majority of that game until they started rotating back around. Now, with how close those exterior walls are towards the site itself, you might just be able to pull off something there. Just have someone watching over warehouse, have the rest try and instantly go in for an assembly plant. You might find yourself with success out there. Maybe comparable to Bank and a CC plant, where you try and open up, dig yourself into the corner, have someone watching over the upper square. Because look at how many people are playing on the top floor from Heroic.
BDS's approach was, I'll say, slow and steady at the very beginning. It's a new map. It's a new encounter. In the first half, Shaiko and Wikifac have as many kills as the rest of the players combined. Thank you, Stat.
Appreciate that, Stat.
Love Stat.
Stat MVP.
That's actually their name. It's a person.
Yeah.
Stat is a person.
He's our new statistician in the European League.
What point? But apparently it's coming from Sprabuni, actually.
Well, as we continue, Brede getting a drone in, spotting out some cameras out there. It's of course a default one, so nothing too strange about it. And look at that, exactly as I said, just go right into the site. But the Fenrir gadgets are going to be stopping Alems from truly pushing through as they're trying to loop around as Likafak gets taken down. But Alems now finds himself in a very dangerous position with a good opportunity to find someone off guard.
I mean, he's the only one in the site. They seem to have a rough idea of where he is, but it's a 4 versus 3. You can sort of see both teams going, look, we've got to maybe react to this. Doom is watching the rotation on the opposite side to sort of hope that somebody is not watching it. They are. He's able to get the kill out. And as Shaiko's trying to find the back of that Fenrir, I mean, Astro is able to tear them up. What do you do in this situation other than die?
You couldn't see. So he has to go prone. His teammate gets taken down, 3 people watch him, and, you know, if you stand up, you can't see again. So, yeah. It was a very difficult position for him to be in there. So maybe the direct push to the side didn't really work.
It didn't. I mean, that is a great demonstration of a great Fenrir placement.
It definitely was.
See, Shaiko was trying to find it as well. And obviously, again, as you know, I've sort of said a couple of times, you're attacking a new map. You're going to learn holds like that. You're going to learn how to break holds like that as well. Because if you're aware of it, you can maybe try and get some utility driven towards it. You can maybe try and get above it as well, where it is soft, and get it that way, and suddenly that becomes something you can viably push. But at the time, when you don't know it exists, as we saw from Shaiko, you run in and that is where you go. That is where it stops.
That's what requires a little bit of usage of the drone, trying to figure out where the Fenrir gadget is before you run in like that. But you don't really have the time sometimes, and it's an opportunity that was spotted and they went for it. But again, as you mentioned as well, like both these teams have been scrimming the map like crazy, of course. They think they have their holds and everything in order, but then you come to game day and suddenly the sites and holds have changed just a little bit, and you aren't as fully aware as to how your opponents are playing the map as how you figured out or imagined it would go. And that's why these first couple of plays and iterations of a map always get so... Ooh, Likafak really close up to someone here. Doom hiding on the other side. So he's thinking that it probably will be opened up by the sledgehammer as well, whilst Likafak is already deep inside. If he goes through the door, might actually have a free kill on Jajum.
Yeah, James got the gadget. It's staring up. He's got these holes and angles. That will be the giveaway to EFAC of they're there, but he misses the shots, and now they know exactly where each other is because there's only really one place that'll come from. The E1D pops, and James got far enough away to at least have some cover. So instead, he's going to see if he can try and hold onto the angle before he realizes, well, I'll get surrounded if I don't move. I've got to at least have eyes on one fight, and this is the easier one. EFAC swings the fight outside anyway. Wins it from through the soft. Very well played there.
Knew where he had to be, just open up the angle, found him there, and take him down. Candela's now coming through. BDS looking to come in the back of this. Tossing out the smoke, afraid of maybe someone being down there as well. The plant now going down as well in the middle of the Fenrir, and that means that 45 seconds could soon be on the clock. If Anarchy doesn't stop this plant in time, seems like he will fail to do so. And now 45 counting for BDS. This is all that is between Heroic and potentially ending this game.
Well, Brede being able to get that blind off there, stopping the fight inside the Fenrir, picking up a kill on the back of it. Astro has to go huge here, cannot find the connection. And BDS round out a huge, strong start and a statement game back into a 7-2 ending.
Well played by BDS there. In the end, all it did took for the attack was just to insert yourself into the side, instantly go for a plant under the cover of a smoke. Managed to find 3 points that they did need desperately after the loss against G2. They are still in a good position to make it to the playoffs. Heroic, however, that's looking a bit more dire now.
Well, I mean, it was just a great response from BDS. As we sort of said at the start, they hadn't been able to get any point. Heroic had, and now Heroic find that point leapfrogged by a very keen BDS 3, and that -4 Heroic started the day with a round difference. But I think they're the only team now in their group with a negative round difference. So we'll leave that to the desk to talk about and break down after a quick break.
It should be easy. Have you put yourself in there?
No, of course, bloody not.
Oh, guys, you're actually on point.
Yeah, I think Dougie has most first engagements.
Yeah, might not win them all, but... I just want to pick on defense, so I was just rushing it with no chance of attack. Classic Savage.
Yeah, of course, he goes himself. That's right. In defense, I think 80% of the round done making an open fuck.
That's a good one.
I think we can all be unanimous.
Yeah, that's a unanimous one. It's his birthday, don't bully him.
He just has a broken sleeping shadow.
Kind of surprising because me and Mirko are Brazilian. Like Brazilian is used to get late for stuff. So
I was tired. Okay.
I've got the answer for this one.
this is a hard one, I think.
I think they will be the same player.
I have a good one here.
I've lost the Discord.
There you go. That's your answer.
So Noah has like just his phone falls out of his pocket in viewer. You know, we try and call his phone and the guy's not answering, and then this Uber driver like picks up, but he doesn't really speak English.
And I didn't understand like if he wanted to even give me the phone back or if he was just gonna keep it like the entire day.
Yeah, different answers. Yeah, it's probably me actually. Should have voted myself.
Why? He lost his headphones on LAN as well.
And I think Carl is probably the most likely to lose something.
Yeah, lose his mental.
Oh wow.
I think we can do this in a few seconds, guys.
Stop. I think they're right. I can't argue with that. So he's just very eager to not learn the calls or just like change to what he knows.
No, why me, guys?
Yeah.
Why me?
I mean, I think he's trying his best. I don't know. Sometimes I know my answer.
That has to be me.
It's a hard question.
Yeah.
Oh, these guys don't like to keep me alive, so they let me die. And
no, that's true. Whoever I choose to bait, that's who the bait is.
Oh, what the?
Because I feel like when we rush, you go full ham.
I think it's Noah. He's like, yeah, double up with me, but you go first. That's so true. No, that's actually so true.
Well, I would have liked to maybe see a few more rounds of Nighthaven Labs that was being played for the first time in Europe League, but BDS had other plans to that. We do have our winners on the line to ask them a few questions, so we should be heading into our interview very, very soon. I believe we have Leakefak on the line. You must be feeling amazing after that game, right?
Yes, first win in stage 2, so yeah, amazing.
Sounds good. I mean, the last time around, it didn't really go you guys' way. Is there anything specific you changed after that game?
Not really. Like against G2, we just fixed the little mistake, because of course Alemao and Virtue did a really good game and destroy us in defense. But little mistake, and we prepare a lot lab for this stage. So playing lab today was really fun. Like we were waiting for this map, and that's it.
Okay, that sounds nice. And for your own personal opinion, from Nighthaven, right? Out of the 9 maps in the map pool, where would you personally place it? Do you like the map? Do you not like the map?
Yeah, top tier map. Like I like the map. I'm not really in ranked, but in competitive, it's really nice to play. Like you need team play, you need strats to play the map, and that's good.
Is that why you like it more in competitive than in ranked?
Yeah, of course.
Okay, well, makes sense. Next week you do play Eminem and Wolves right after. How are you feeling about that and your chances in this group as well?
We play Eminem. We know them. We play Eminem a lot, like in scrim or in match. So will be a good match. We know them, so we'll be we are prepared to play this match already. So yeah, I feel confident, and we feel confident. And the group, yeah, it's winnable group. We lose our first match, but Eminem and Wolf. So yeah, we have our chance.
Okay, all right. Anything you want to say to the fans as well?
Thank you to everyone to support Earth, and merci à tous, même quand on a perdu la semaine dernière, ça s'est très bien passé, vous étiez derrière nous, donc merci beaucoup pour tous vos messages, and thank you for the host, the desk, and thank you.
I'll pretend I understood everything of that, but yes, all right, thank you so much for your time, enjoy your evening, and we'll hope to speak to you again soon.
See you.
All right, fixed a few little mistakes, they said. I mean, obviously a better game they had right now. It went really fast for them. But then on Heroic, for their attacks, there was a few question marks. A little bit of frustration, not between you two, but from you two about this game.
I mean, they looked like a poor ranked stack. That's the way I'll put it. I don't know why you kick leader for this, guys, because that was poor. I mean, you guys had so many man advantages and just strategical advantages, but then missed out on small things like flanks or maybe not even opening a wall. It looked really rough, and that idea of having an in-game leader to guide them better in the front line, I did not see that playing out whatsoever.
It was something that we found hard when the overall strategy for Heroic, especially when they were trying to breach, was just so poor. You know, when they were attacking the top floor, they weren't coming from 2 directions. When they were attacking the basement, they weren't getting the breaches open, which is something we've seen teams get the breaches open, then do the full clears. Heroic are having to drop hatches with people in the room that could have been held from the breach, that could have been and should have been opened. BDS were, of course, excellent. I think they played the map very well. They layered it very, very well, as you would expect. They extended roams, the horizontally, vertically, use of Solace, you know, use of Castle as army, all those operators played it very well, 6-0. And then, yeah, had a couple of tricky attacks, but did get over the line in the end.
Yeah, we agreed on a lot of things when we were watching it and saying to each other that BDS is playing it exactly how we expected the map to be played out. As you said, Jack, they're falling back, they're using bandit tricks. It's just overall a good team effort. And then they also have that individual level on top that you've managed to snatch out these rounds where they shouldn't actually have won, because you should not win your 3-on-5s. You should have a win rate. Like if you have a good win rate on a 3-on-5, I'd say that if you win 1 out of 3 3-on-5s, maybe 2 out of 5, then you have a really good number. But you shouldn't win them in an official, and you should not win 2 of them in an official. So I think BDS did really good on their attack or defenses, and they did eventually just clutch it out on the one attack they needed.
So you would say they're looking better as well, BDS?
Yeah, I think you could say that. I think the defenses obviously went very well. Attacks, there's still a couple of issues that they had. You know, they succumbed to Blaz making that big 4K over by the house stairs side across the meeting. A couple of missed drones, but that is, you know, it's kind of to be expected on the new map, but it's also the same thing that happened to them on Oregon. So I'm not saying BDS are the perfect team by any means, but they came out today and they did exactly what they needed to.
Yeah, you don't know all of these hiding positions, for example. It's like they're most likely they've never been played that hard on that position and therefore had a quad kill come against them. So these small things, that will never happen to BDS again, ever, never.
So as much as this game mattered for the positions in this group, we'll have another game coming right up that will matter just as much in regards to positioning for that group. Also, a few of the bottom teams in that group. It'll be Secret versus Koi right after a quick break.
Connection and BDS round out a huge